Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to Cherry and Tinder Talk. And we are pretty excited today because I think we all have heard about Srini Mama, in cricketing terms. Today we have Sundar Mama joining us. So, welcome Sundar to the show.
Beautiful uncle.
Thanks. Nalla Sundar Mama.
Sundar, should I start by asking you about my update?
Yeah, hopefully I saw Boni Kapoor's tweet that hopefully it should come soon. I'm sure he's eager to introduce Janvi into the Tamil industry, right? So yeah,
Nice.
should
For the
the
benefit,
first looks about me.
why don't you tell them what is Valimai update? We have heard this in Chennai. We have heard this in
Yeah.
video.
Please do.
Yeah, so people who are not aware of the Tamil film industry, right? So you have ekdam, amazing loyalties there, right? Sometimes it's like crazy, right? So the current generation, you have something called Tala versus Talapati. Tala is Vijay, and Talapati. No, Tala is Ajit, and Talapati is Vijay.
Okay.
Now Vijay's latest movie called Master came out, which was a huge blockbuster. I won't say it is worth it but yeah, this could be a controversial comment, but then yeah. So the opposite team is expecting an equally huge movie to come out, which is Valimai. And it's supposed to be a huge ticketed movie because Boni Kapoor is bankrolling the film, and he's going to have Janvi also in the movie. But it's been taking a lot of time due to this COVID delay and all. So people are kind of frustrated. And the first time they got a chance into the stadium, they proved, they asked Ashwin, Moin Ali, everybody. I think initially Moin Ali would have thought that to be a, Gali or something. I'm very sure, given the fact everything is going on. But then when he clarified with Ashwin, he understood, okay, Valimai is a movie which in, right? So then, it became a huge craze.
All
so
right.
That's the background.
Interesting. So, Nishad, you missed out on this one. You can maybe tune back to the show afterwards to get the Valimai update from Sundar Mama.
Why does it have a very Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma vibe to it? Now that Rohit Sharma has got a Big Daddy 100, there could be another one coming in Ahmedabad now. Once you've seen one hit, there is another one coming from the upper from the other camp.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Cool. So our backbencher Nishad has joined in. So he was lingering around somewhere. always a busy man. So So let's get down to business, guys. Let's start off with the talk of the town, and I think this is something which we have to talk about. Whatever happened in the last week or so. So maybe let's start with Mahesh. Mahesh, what do you make of it?
Firstly, Mahesh, new background. It's a good one.
Oh, Mahesh is partying today. He's. I don't want to tell you guys where he is because it's privacy laws nowadays are very strict. So, but then
he's glowing and all too. He's glowing and all too. Look, he's even shy and all.
He's always blushing,
Still hangover. Valentine's Day hangover. Abhi tak hai Mahesh ko.
My God, I wish it was me.
Okay, it's a family show, everyone. It's a family show.
All right.
ये किसने कहा कि वैलेंटाइंस डे फैमिली नहीं मनाती है?
That's right.
It's love.
Yeah. All right, Mahesh. So what do you make of it? Is it? I'll let you comment. I mean, we all know what is being made of it in Western media, but you should maybe start off with what you make of it.
Yeah, because I think that the pitch has been unnecessarily brought into the discussion because fair enough, the pitch started turning pretty early on. Maybe it started turning on day one. But if you're a champion side, it doesn't matter what wicket you're playing on. You need to rise to the challenge and deliver. Okay, India had a similar problem in the first match. We didn't make it. But we never said anything on the pitch. Now, if you put ourselves similarly, if you travel down to England, okay, they're not going to give you wickets. They're going to give you green tops. Okay, we go to Australia, they give their. So everybody makes pitches that will suit their home conditions, and that is exactly what happened. Maybe the pitch started turning a little early,
Yep.
But I think it was a fair game, and Joe Root, I must appreciate. Okay, he
Correct.
came on record and said that the 20 strip was not the reason why they lost. It was
Yep.
a fantastic spirited Indian team that defeated them. For a simple thing, on day 3, if Ashwin could score a century on that wicket,
Yeah.
then players like probably Stokes and Root should have also been
Yep.
able to score the runs next day. So I
Correct.
don't think the pitch was the only reason why England lost. I think the
Yep.
Indians came back very strongly.
Yep. Absolutely. And in fact, to Mahesh's point, Nishad, it's okay, he's slightly busy, I think. Nishad, are you there? All right. Anyways, Yogesh. So what I was
Yeah.
saying is, basically to his point, not just the 100 that Ashwin scored. If you see the combined innings together, India scored close to 600 runs, right? And that's like, if one team can score that, you can't really call it a bad wicket, right?
No, you can't. And I think one of the best pieces I read about the entire pitch fiasco actually said pitches being different doesn't mean they're substandard, right? And
Exactly.
and I think in the first innings when India batted, Rohit Sharma scored 160, and
Yep.
England could barely come closer to that, right? So one batsman
Yep.
scoring more than the entire team put together is not
Yep.
really a substandard pitch. Second thing is
Correct.
the pitch kind of played similarly all across the
Yep.
days. Obviously it had a little more bite towards the fourth day, etc. But that was
Yep.
only anticipated, isn't it? I mean, in a way, you'd say, what do you want? You want a pitch that starts behaving similarly across 3 or 4 days, or you want,
Yep.
the first 2 days, you want the pitch to be seaming, and then whoever wins the toss actually has a greater advantage. In this case,
Yep.
I would say
Yep.
actually toss did not play as big a role as people would want
Mhm.
to kind of
Exactly.
believe as such. I would however say what England did not do really well. Forget the technicalities and things like that. One thing which stood out for me was Ben Stokes' body language when he
Mm.
got dismissed in that first innings, right? And what that
Mm.
does is it gives a more severe indication to
Yep.
others, and,
Yep.
and it kind of pulls the others down as well. So I think it's
Mm.
really important for people to kind of be in control of that emotion. Look, the pitch
Yep.
turned, it bounced, it's all okay, but the other batsmen were able to deal with it. Even the English batsman, Folks, was able to play brilliantly, and
Exactly.
I think
Exactly.
Pope was able to apply himself well. I think he was undone by a great catch down the leg. But that
Yep.
aside, if you look at how
Yep.
they were batting, right? Once you were
Yep.
sure that I want to be forward, once you were sure that I want to be back in the crease, you could deal with
Yep.
what the pitch had to offer. So I think lots been made about the pitch, but I would say, the pitch that gives even advantage on day one and day two to two different batting sides is actually better than the one that takes everything away on day one for the team that's batting first on a green seaming pitch as such. So I think that's why you go around the world, right? You don't want to see the
Yep.
same things. Also, some
Yep.
people suggesting that the pitch has to behave in a certain way on day one, day two, etc. Look, the
Yep.
conditions around the world are not the same. What you
Yep.
get at Lords or what you might get at Napier is going to be
Yep.
dramatically different from what you get at Chennai and Colombo, because the weather
Yep.
conditions are different, the soil is different, all of that. So people who are just sort of, watching from the sofas and the armchairs will come up
Yep.
with these, how do I say, not very logical sort of arguments as such.
I think I'll agree, and it takes me back to your comment in that last show. I would rather have this pitch than the one which was in the first test, which was supposedly
Correct.
sponsored by India Cements. The hard road that we played on. So, so
For
I
a
think this
couple of
was
days,
much
right?
better. Yeah, exactly. So I think Nishad, one more point which Yogesh interestingly brought out is, the application that Ben Folks had shown, Oli Pope had shown, in the first innings. If the England players had shown that, I'm sure the results would not have been what we saw. I'm sure they would have, come up with some fight at least. It's just that even Joe Root, for that matter, he swept along and scored that brilliant double hundred in the first test. But then it's about making those minor adjustments, and I think that's where knowing the conditions and using the shots and shot selection becomes so important, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it can always backfire
Correct.
because you remember what happened in 2012.
Yep.
A similar pitch in Mumbai, I would say, because
Yes.
you look at that test match. India
Yep.
got what 230 in the first innings. Pujara got 130 odd, and
Yep.
it was a tough wicket. Everyone felt India had more than enough, but
Yep.
then we know what happened. It's just two
Yeah.
batsmen showing brilliance, one dead batting everything and the other smashing everything. And yes, I mean, I still remember one ball by Pragyan Ojha pitching around, possibly a little bit around off stump, and coming miles outside off stump. And Peterson just goes back and flat bats it over cover for 6. So he had seen that kind of batting and that kind of ability. Cut to 2017, you see the same thing again with Australia coming to India and Stevens getting that 100 at Pune. And that Pune pitch was bad. That was bad.
That was pathetic. Honestly, it was
bad. Okay, that everyone will agree. But this one, I have absolutely no problem, because if you could apply yourself, definitely you could get runs. Then you wouldn't have a number 8 batsman scoring 100 on day 3 of on such a pitch. I know, and this is a guy who has been struggling with the bat for the last few years. And he got 100. And you had Mohammad Siraj, whatever little time, hitting through the line and getting 6s. So batting or whatever. So there was a certain level of application that was needed. And for that matter, even say Moeen Ali going and getting, a quick fire 40 odd in the last innings, reaching the pitch of the ball, you could get runs on the wicket if you applied yourself. And ultimately, it is Test cricket. You should learn how to play across different conditions. If we as Indians are expected to go and play in green cement conditions, then why shouldn't we expect others to come here? And we must also realize, for the longest time, England and Australia had the kind of the hegemony in world cricket. Now, while it has changed and it has come towards the subcontinent, the narrative as such has not changed. Like, people still look down upon turning tracks. And when that narrative will change, we do not know, but it will change. It is still that certain people think that, if you're a Dada player, if you're playing on green seaming pitches, you're a Dada player, even if you're playing on turning pitches. Sunil Gavaskar, on a bad turning wicket, batted left-handed to counter Raghuram, but who can do that? That shows Sunil Gavaskar's greatness. So that is the point. Steven Smith scored 100 here. Kevin Peterson got 100. Cook got those hundreds. That shows greatness. That shows the ability. So I don't see why anyone's making excuses, and which is why I give credit to Joe Root. Root said that it's Test cricket and we've got to learn how to play on these surfaces. We were outbatted and outbowled by India.
Absolutely. And Sundar, I mean, to that point, to Joe Root's point as well, right? I mean, I have huge respect for this Indian team for this simple fact that, in the last so many years, I've never seen an Indian team crying about a pitch, right? Especially when they tour abroad, right?
Yeah, I think that's what Ashwin said, right? We never opened our mouth when we went down under, right? So from a common man's perspective, right? I think pitch is the one that adds so much of flavors to cricket. Unlike other sports, pitch is something in cricket, right? You don't get it in other sports like tennis is there, but in cricket it's so much varied that it adds so much of flavors to the common man. The common man looks forward to what is the pitch report, what is going to be a turn bounce, and I don't understand this attitude of why the aesthetics of swinging and seaming from day one is looked at a better pitch than even if it starts spinning and bouncing from the day one. What is wrong with it, right? As Yogesh rightly mentioned, that's where the application comes into play. If I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong. If as per the laws of cricket, it's only an ugly pitch if there is really bad low bounce. The bounce is so varied, I don't think that happened in the Chennai pitch, right? So from a common man's perspective, I only see reason, they were just, but good thing that the players did not cry about it. It only the pundits who are doing that. So
Yep, and I think again a good point by Siddharth. Even Dan Lawrence looked good for before he was eventually dismissed.
Also,
in fact, when you mentioned
we must remember, it was the head coach who said "Bhad mein jaye pitch." Okay, we must remember that.
Yeah. Exactly, and I actually give a lot of credit to even Ravi Shastri for that. They don't look at conditions in the pitch and get so flustered about it, right? So I think that's a great approach to have, and that's a winning mindset, if I may add. And I think when you mentioned, Nishad, about those 2 innings, right, by Peterson and Cook, honestly, from this English team, I was expecting that to kind of somewhere come from Ben Stokes, because if anybody, he has the ability to kind of swing the game in that fashion and, completely take the game away from the opposition. And we saw what he did in Headingley, right? And that's the kind of, mental fortitude which is needed to kind of survive as well as play on this wicket. And And if you see the batsmen who attacked, right, they were looking so comfortable but the batsmen who were, prodding, defending, they were actually the ones who were getting out, right? So if you're looking at survival, I'm sure you cannot bat on this kind of a cricket. But if you're looking at playing normally, scoring runs, and taking the attack, I'm sure you can change a lot of things. Even like you rightly mentioned, right, Moeen Ali, the way he attacked, right, eventually he got out like that. But the free stroking play, play that he showed, it showed that you could still bat even on day 4 on that wicket, right? So I mean, that's something which is quite baffling to everybody. Okay, the second point, I think this is something which, go ahead, Yogi. Yeah.
I just say one thing. I think a lot of these talks actually come outside of the team than it coming from inside of the team, and that's, I think, one perspective we should keep in mind. And I quite like this point that we discussed earlier, which is that the dominance has moved, but the mindset has still not changed, and it will take a while, because. I see not just with the test match and the pitches really, but even with IPL auctions and price tags, you see similar kind of conversations rearing head. When the players actually get a decent price tag and get good exposure and become better of it, then they're like, okay, IPL is good. But the moment you say, okay, this player might miss a test match because he might play for his IPL franchisee, then IPL is all bad and it is all bad money and all of that. So I think there's a tendency for people to forget that perspective a little bit. That there are things that can help, and there are things that won't help at certain occasions. But all in all, I think it's a positive sum game and not a negative sum game.
Agreed, absolutely. And I think this is the point, the second point which we have brought up right now. And Mahesh, I think all the guys who played in Chennai in the second test match have literally, said this, that, the intensity of the game, completely rises to another level, right, when you have a crowd in play.
Oh, definitely. And you have a very good crowd. The standard of the game, I mean, the players enjoy more, isn't it? I still remember in 1999 when Pakistan defeated India by a very narrow margin, where Tendulkar scored a brilliant century, but was not able to take India to victory. The entire crowd stood up and applauded the Pakistani team when they took their lap. This goes to show that it's a very intelligent crowd. They understand their cricket, and they support good cricket. They don't just support the home team; they also support the visitors, and that's what makes Chennai crowd, so involved with the game. And that's been one of the reasons why a lot of foreign players as well as Indian players love playing Chennai. Normally, it's one of the truest wickets. Chennai got good bounce. Most of our players in on the back foot have scored a lot of runs. Tendulkar was, he used to score a lot of runs there. Gundappa Vishwanath in the earlier era scored a lot of runs there. Gavaskar used to score a lot of centuries. So the batsmen who had got good technique on the back foot scored a lot of runs in Chennai. Chennai overall is a good playing venue, but unfortunately, England may not talk about it after the second test match.
Yeah. And I think, when you mentioned about that Pakistan test match, right? Honestly, in all my years of watching cricket, that moment, even though India lost, but that moment of the crowd standing up and appreciating is one of the most memorable moments for me as a fan to witness what we did, right? That too for a Pakistan team, arch rivals, playing at home, losing
it's
by
very
such
difficult. It's very difficult to
exactly.
You've just lost the match. Okay, your country has lost the match, and against your arch rivals, yet to stand up and applaud for them, you need a different. You need to have a different mindset. I'm sure about it.
I agree. Yeah, and I think that's one of my top sporting moments which I have seen in my life, honestly, because it's something which you never expect, right? And especially in today's world where everything is so polarized, right? Either you're here or there. It's so hard to have a neutral perspective and appreciate something which is genuinely good, right? So I think that's something, hats off, man. That will never go off from my memory, even though it was so heartbreaking as a fan, but hats off. All right. So maybe Sundar, you might add a bit about the Chennai crowd, right?
Because you.
Yeah, sorry. You go ahead, Rakesh. You can finish your point first.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick point about polarization and things you said, right? A lot of times when people talk about rivalries and they kind of play it up ahead of the series, etc., right? And I think every now and then I feel the sport has to do a better job of showing what happens outside after the match, etc., right? For instance, For instance, Dale Steyn going down on the ground and then being lifted by the batsman to say, okay, fine, I feel for you, and then Chennai crowd applauding Pakistan, right? I think sport and broadcasters need to do a bit more to actually show those images, because
Good point.
what they do is they give fans a better perspective and kind of help to change the conversation a bit. Now, one of the ugliest sporting conversation I remember broadcasters coming up was, I think, ahead of the 2012 England series, and I think there were these ridiculous ads playing which says, pungi baja dunga, and things like that. And we know what happened after, right? Which is England obviously trumped India in that series, but the entire thing sort of left a very sour taste in mouths of fans on both sides, I would assume, right? Because what you want sport to do is to connect people, and connect it via very good competition. You don't want sport to kind of divide the society in a way. So I think because you spoke of polarization, good sport and good attitude to sport can actually bring people closer.
Absolutely, I completely agree. That's a great point. Yep, I think the more broadcasters, as well as in general, the sporting public focus on these things, right? It will become a better in contest as well. Apart from the same thing of I mean, I would not want an Indian crowd to not applaud a great innings or a great catch or a great bowling performance. I would love to see that happening consistently, and I think that's what Sundar I was coming to you about the Chennai crowd, right? Even Ashwin mentioned in his video, the way they appreciate every single minutest thing on the field.
Also, my memory also goes back to the same place. I mean, actually, I was at the ground then.
Oh my God!
So as this all happened even before IPL took place, right?
Yeah.
The first time we actually started cheering for cricketers of other countries was actually only during IPL. Okay,
correct.
So even before this happened, we were only cheering for India, right?
Yes.
So I would say Chennai crowd actually has a mind and brain of its own, right? And the way I think it also has a lot to do with the inbred culture also. So yeah, it was one of the moments I can never forget in my life. So where we all stood up, and when I went back and I saw, I think it was Harsha Bogle was commenting about this the crowd being so fair and so knowledgeable.
Yep.
I'm actually proud to be part of that crowd. Yeah, but it was one of the best moments.
Amazing. So, did you cry as a kid seeing Sachin get out like that?
I wasn't a kid then. I was like 15 years. I had gone with my granddad, who was a member of the MCC. So so it was amazing then.
But would have been quite a contest, right? That last day. I mean, that innings.
I think Saklain Mushtaq versus Sachin there was amazing to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
That was different.
Absolutely.
Funny,
all right.
When we were, so when just a quick one. Funnily, when this entire Gabba episode was happening, right? My mind kept thinking of Chennai. 4 wickets in 17 runs. I was like, I want these guys to hold as steady as they can.
You were not alone, Yogesh. Especially when Shardul got out. Oh my God, I was like, what's happening?
I was like, let Gabba be Gabba. We don't want Chennai again.
When Rishabh Pant hit that down the ground, I was like, chalo, ek hai. Now, then my dad was like, nahi, do hai.
Oh yeah, man. That was really, I mean, such a deja vu kind of a moment, right?
That's true.
The funny thing is, the ball before, right? The ball before was a short one, and he was trying to keep it away from batsman. One thing which not many people have actually spoken about is, why did he bowl full and outside off to Rishabh Pant? That
exactly.
Well, was he trying to play a bluff there? I'm not sure. Was he forcing Pant to think there's going to be a short one again, and then I think he was trying to Yorker, if I'm not wrong, and I think he missed his line.
Or like you said, he was probably trying a bluff, but because of the way, I mean, they were so tired, man, and I think it just overpitched, and it just went for a full toss, and that's how it comes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm sure Hazelwood would be happy that he'll be bowling to Pujara in the nets and not on the other side. Oh my God. That was, I mean, I saw a really funny meme of, Hazelwood, holding his head like this, and, in the bottom it was written, that moment when you realize that you have to again bowl to Pujara in the CSK nets. All right. So coming back to the game, guys, Nishad, I mean, we have to talk about this, Rohit Sharma and Ashwin's performances. I mean, if we thought the first innings, Rohit Sharma's brilliance was, something else, what about Ashwin as well, right? So, I mean, if you could speak about both of them.
Yeah, it was really amazing to see the way Rohit Sharma batted, because what Mike getting pointed out on my show, that the good thing was he was taking on, he was very positive. There was no tentative shot, and with the full face of the bat, even when he was sweeping everything. So you could see on day one that those two dismissed, like Virat Kohli's dismissal, him getting bowled, same ball Rohit Sharma was sweeping. So he had figured it out very well what to do, and once he had batted that amount of time on a tricky pitch. And I remember saying at the end of day one that the difference between the two teams will be the partnership between Rahane and Rohit.
Correct.
So, but then it was Ashwin as well. And I think Bharat Arun mentioned in one of those Kutti stories that now his game has gone to his batting will go to another level after what he pulled off in Sydney. So keep the struggles aside. I think Ashwin, as such, with the bat, even in the first Test match, was good. In the first innings, also he showed decent application. So we were seeing that those signs, so that 100 was probably due, and it came at such a time, and it's never easy in your home ground, So I think considering all that, really amazing. It would have been better had he got 2 more wickets and completed 10, and he would have joined Shakib and Ian Botham, and I forget one more name. So. He would have joined that.
2 more Test matches in this series. 2 more Test matches in this series. Just saying.
True.
If he could repeat those heroics with the pink ball, oh man, that will be amazing, right?
But one thing about the pink ball, we are looking at all the seats in Ahmedabad. You see what color they are, and you see crowds not going to be full. How are these people going to spot the ball? I really wonder. Wonder. Look at the color of the seats. I wouldn't want to be a player. I'm going to lose the ball in those chairs.
And especially when you are closing in and and standing in a slip cordon, and if you're staring right there, I mean, it's going to be very tough to pick it up.
In floodlights, you're going to lose it.
Exactly. And floodlights are different as well, right? Which is interesting because some people are saying it will help the players. And even the crowd as well. But some people are saying it might be right in the eye. So, it's interesting how it will, pan out to be. But I think we definitely have to speak about the Motera Stadium for sure, guys. I mean, it's such a beautiful stadium. And, the way people have described it, even Ashwin in his video as well, right? It's like the best part is, it was made with a vision, because nowadays, if you see, especially T20 games, you have double headers at the same venue. So, it has 4 dressing rooms, not just 2. So, obviously, if 2 teams are already playing, the other 2 can wait in the other 2 dressing rooms, right? And
perfect for COVID situation.
Exactly, right? Perfect for COVID situation. And it has, exactly. It has a gymnasium inside. It has an area to do warm-ups inside if there is, a rain delay or something like that. So, amazing, right? The way it has been, envisioned and, the way it has turned out to be. I'm really looking forward to how it will be. Especially in full capacity, once COVID is over, I think it will be amazing to watch, right? I think 2023 World Cup final is going to be played there, right? If I'm not wrong.
It's not yet announced officially.
Not yet announced, but it was kind of, in the news somewhere that, it might happen there. So, it's interesting. And I think we have Bhash from our team who he mentions that Motera could be a little bouncy and slightly seamer friendly. And, he remembers witnessing 10 blowners, but I think that was the old Motera, right, Bhash? I think this might be slightly different. And
that was 76 in 20 overs. India had gotten bowled out.
Exactly, 76 in 20 overs. I remember that. And just to tell everybody else, next week we're trying to get Bhash to report live from the stadium. So on Cherry and Timber Talks. So I think when he'll get inside the Motera, we'll ask him to join us from there. So that'll be interesting. If we can do that, that'll be awesome. Great. Okay, interesting. Siddharth has another comment. Always good to have people in attendance. Chennai crowd always known to keep their emotions check. Absolutely. That's right. Remember covering a T20 game between India and West Indies at Chepauk? The crowd, the love for Dhoni and whatnot. Fair to say they wear their hearts on the sleeve. Absolutely. Yep.
Wait, how can you keep your emotions in check and wear your heart on your sleeve?
That's a bit of a paradox. Yeah, I agree.
So when it comes to CSK and Dhoni, they don't keep their emotions in check. That is when their heart is on their sleeve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Ashwin has realized that he has to get his batting mojo back. Absolutely agree, Bash. He also has a comment. We Ahmedabadis have been starved of live cricket for 9 years, and we are absolutely cricket mad city. This is surely our
Actually, 6 years and 3 months.
Yeah. All right. So, Mahesh, coming back to the previous game, right? In fact, looking ahead also for this test match, what do you feel will be the changes, if any, from India's side? And also, the pink ball, how much of a difference would it make, do you think?
I think the pink ball will be moving a lot more than the red ball. So I think, again, I might stick my neck out and say this game might not go the distance. It will get over by 4 days. And I won't be surprised if England plays both Broad and Anderson for one match. Because otherwise, they would always rotate them. But I think they go through the best 11 out, and I think both Broad and Anderson would play. And what Nishad said about the colors of the seat, which is correct. And imagine during dusk, which is the most difficult time to spot cricket ball, with the various colors of the seats. This fielding is going to be terrible. I mean, you can be rest assured a lot of catches going to be dropped. I mean, and that's going to happen for both sides. I mean, not it's only for one side, but for both sides. So all in all, the innovation of pink ball cricket has actually taken cricket to another level. People want to see pink ball cricket. If it actually works out well, I think going forward we might have at least 2 matches in every series. But as of now, as such, very interesting to see. India, I did not do too well in Australia in the pink ball series. We know what happened in the 4th innings. We got bowled out for 36. But against Broad and Anderson, it's not going to be easy. So we need to be a little careful of that. And maybe it may not be a bad toss to lose.
Yeah, and that's what that's what even Bhash was mentioning in his comments some time back. It might be a good toss to lose.
What happens is that if Broad and Anderson can start moving pink ball quite a bit, we might get folded out pretty early on day one. It's also not going to be too good.
And I think there's one more thing. Okay, Yogi, you make your point first. Yeah, go ahead.
Question on Broad and Anderson playing together, and we are obviously talking about a scenario wherein, let's say, they get quick wickets, which is obviously good to imagine and think, right? Imagine England have to bowl 100 overs, which is very likely. Also 100 plus overs. Would a Captain Root like to have Broad and Anderson in that sort of a setup? Because you can't get more than 15 to 20 overs out of each of them. So what does that mean? It would perhaps mean, having the other bowlers who've been put under a lot of pressure by Indian batsmen, bowling, 60 overs or 70 overs. And that could be costly for England. So, I mean, as much as I understand this talk about moving ball and them putting us under pressure, but as a captain, I'd also be very thoughtful of, how much can I really get out of these two guys together? As a captain, I'd be under tremendous pressure, and we know the magic might happen in the first session of the test match of ball moving around and things like that. How much of that magic is going to happen on other 4 days, practically?
But I think to answer your question, Yogesh, I feel that yes, you have a point there. Definitely, it's logical. But I feel with the World Test Championship finals place on the line, and I definitely feel that England has to go all guns blazing. They don't have a choice. Honestly.
Forget. I don't think England think like that. I don't think they think like that.
I know what you're saying.
If that was the case, I think they'd have very different selection policies if they were sort of that focused. I think England is perhaps the only side wherein I see the.
I think we lost him there.
I think he got stuck.
All right, Nishad, why don't you answer that question till then?
So, with regards to the combination, I think Siddharth brought up a good point with Ollie Stone, who I think was impressive in the second test. But then you've got Jofra Archer as well. So I think you could have Stone, Archer, because Archer you need that outright pace, and one out of Broad or Anderson. That's what I feel they will go with. And Stokes definitely will have to chip in a lot more than he did
with the ball.
In the other match. This is just what I think. India will, I think, yes, go for Bumrah. Will be back. Ishant and Siraj. Now it depends on, in which I think sadly Kuldeep may have to make way because he hasn't bowled that much. And that's also a paradox, isn't it? He gets in, doesn't bowl as much, he has to go out, and I think it would have been better to release him to play the Vijay Hazare Trophy because he'll have to get some game. UP will bowl him for 10 overs at least.
They did that with Shardul Thakur, which I thought was a great move. Yeah, I thought that was a great move to let him go and play there instead of warming the bench here. So and just one more point, guys. I just thought I'll bring this up while Yogesh was mentioning his question. Dinesh Karthik tweeted recently, right, when they played the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy there in Ahmedabad. He said there's a lot of dew which sets in after 6:30 p.m. And will that play a huge factor here? And I think that's a very, very valid point, especially with the pink ball. Right?
So that's what we'll have to see how they survive the post-dusk session.
Correct.
And that, we have the morning session in a red ball test. This is the afternoon session. So get all your runs up front. Let Rohit Sharma throw his bat around. If you're batting first, anyway, Sibley and Burns are not going to throw their bats around. But anyway, so that will be the strategy, and then you'll have to, dig in those crucial times.
And what do you think, Sundar? Are we looking out for a green track, or would it be, something which is, having this grass shaved off? But I feel that, with the pace bowling that India has, I'm sure it will be kind of something which will help the fast bowlers as well, right? Because I don't think we are in that stage now wherein we need to even look at preparing, suited wickets for spinners at home because of the fast bowling that we have, right?
Yeah, I mean, irrespective of the wicket, I think all that I am hoping is India just go and thrashes England. That's from your audience perspective. But then, I think the contest is going to be between the fast bowlers of either side. It's just, that's why I feel they have to. England definitely has to give a chance to Anderson, Archer, Stone. Stokes will have to bowl more, and with Jack Leach.
Interesting. All right. I think while we were
on the green bit, on the green bit, you were asking. So English players might find a bit more green on the dhokla than the green on the pitch. Really, coriander डाल देंगे ढोकले पे, लेकिन grass नहीं मिलेगा pitch पे.
Yeah, but I think I'm really looking forward to this second pink ball test because honestly, with all due respect to Bangladesh, I definitely felt that the first one was a real disappointment. I expected better, and I don't want this to end in 2.5 to 3 days. I would love to see a pink ball test go the distance, at least day 4 or day 5, and see a really good contest. And probably, who knows, the dew might be a huge factor. The ball may not swing in the dew, and the batting might become relatively easy in that evening session, which generally is the death knell for batsmen when it comes to pink ball tests. So it's interesting to watch, and it's a great advertisement for day-night test cricket as well. So looking forward to it. While we were discussing, guys, I think we were on track to end the show today, and there's a lot of banter going on between our wives. So Anusha is saying, "Sushmita, where are you?" Sushmita is Sundar's wife, and she's asking him to come and make chai. So I think Sundar, you should go back to your husband duties.
Of course.
All right. Okay, guys. Thanks for joining in, and I think we'll work out with Bhash. Probably he's going to go to the Motera on Friday. And hopefully we'll not have a result which is already, looking very evident. And, we should get some really good action from the ground from Bhash. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thanks, Sundar. And thank you, Bhash, Siddharth, and all the audience for the comments. Look forward to catching up next week.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks, Venu, Mahesh, Yogesh, and Nishad. Thanks for having the comment,
Thank
man.
you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ready?